First time doing this. See if I can get my mate Jack on here. Unpack. Let's see. Let's see if he can come through. Unpack. There we go,
How's it
mate.
going?
Mate, I thought you were the techie one in this relationship.
My bad, man. My bad.
Yeah, you're making it a little bit harder for
Okay.
yourself.
Here, I just sorted out my settings here.
Oh, there we go.
Having technical difficulties on my own over here.
That's my job to have technical difficulties, mate. Uh, all right, mate. Good coming on. Obviously, my first time doing this, and I think of this World Mental Health Day. It's something that you and I kind of what's inspired us to do the work that we do. Um, so look, let's just have a chat, see where it goes. If anyone does come on and throws a question on and wants to listen to us two rambling on, fantastic. But if not, I think the most important thing for me is that we all go through shit every single day. We all go through shit, and I'm doing this work, but over the last 2 weeks, I've been suffering. I've been suffering overwork. Getting the app out this week. There was a lot of work to get to that, to push that work out, and
Yeah.
then kind of I do that. I don't even celebrate my wins, and I'm on to the next thing. And I've been struggling with my sleep. I've got the fucking bags under the eyes, and I got up this morning and I felt like shit. I felt like absolute shit. And that's why, I'm doing this stuff, but I still feel like shit. It's like this fucking program computer just keeps running. And that's why I think it's important we look at mental health, like we call it like mental fitness, because it's like a strategy. And for me, it's like we put all this strategy into business or how to improve our career, but we don't put strategy into us. And I'm saying this, and over the last 2 weeks, I didn't do it for myself, even though I've developed an app to do it. It's so quick to forget about yourself because you're running for the things and the goals. And yeah, so I thought maybe just come on and we'll share a bit of, honesty. How have you been traveling?
Yeah, good man. Good. Yeah, like fucking I resonate with everything you're saying, and like I think, you know, it's very easy to advise others, but then when it comes to doing it for ourselves, it's the hardest thing. But for me, man, like, yeah, the big thing for me in recent times has been shame. And I know you and I have had conversations, but like I'm coming to realize that the thing with shame is that it really, the less you talk about it, the more it manifests. And it lives in the shoulds, right? So like I should do this, I should do that. But yeah, I've been unpacking that. I'm not in a place where I'm still processing quite a lot of it. So I'm not in a place where I'm ready to open up and share to the world what the source of the shame is. But what I am finding helpful is knowing that to be vulnerable and to talk with the right people in the right context and the right settings, that's what's helping me. But um, yeah, as you know, just on that as well, man, just to bring it into the room, and we don't need to go too much into it, but I shared with you about I was recently diagnosed with the ADHD, and there's an awful lot of shame that's actually wrapped up in that. So for me personally, it's given me a new language and a new way to
Hey,
practice
Lloydie. Hey, go
a
on.
new way to practice compassion with myself. So um, yeah, that's what's been going on for me, man.
No, good, mate. You talk about shame. We all have shame, and like you say, oh, you look at the kind of the volume of work that I do, and you kind of go, oh wow. But I'm sitting in shame every day because I'm sitting. I think I should be doing more. I think I should be achieving more, and then I get anxiety about the things that I'm not doing because you never climb the mountain. You get to the top. There's another hill to accomplish. And that's what I had to sit today. I'm thinking it's World Mental Health Day. I've got up and I feel like shit. And I'm like, and I'm doing this for men, for people, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, I've lost myself. That's how fucked up this kind of computer is. I've lost myself in all of this. So today I was like, I'm clearing my decks. I'm going to meditate straight away. I'm going to not give myself any pressure. I'm going to catch up with my mate and have a talk around this. And obviously, this doesn't feel like work because I'm just chatting to my mate and we're sharing real
Yeah.
stuff. So I've given myself a day rather than having to achieve so much. And it was like, fuck, this feels better. And we cause ourselves the most pain. We poison
Mm-hmm.
our own mind more than anybody else. And a lot of the time, the pain isn't as big as what this makes out. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think, man, you're speaking to the same shame that I have been experiencing. There's a deeper level below it, but to be honest with you, man, it has all been related to being productive. So, like, if I'm not being productive, then I beat myself up and I feel shameful for that. And that's what it's been for me. But like, I heard a really good one recently, man, and it's like your brain is an algorithm. Like your brain works like an algorithm. So if you're in a mindset where you're I don't know, man, you're going through a hard time, your brain is going to fucking see things that feed that and reinforce that. So thankfully for me personally, I feel like I'm kind of coming out the other side of that. I'm entering a new season, but I'm still in the process of unpacking it and going through it. And like I think as well, man, like being aware of conditioning. You talk a lot about programming, but like we do live in a world that glorifies hyper productivity, and the idea for men to be able to slow down and take a day off, like I'm sure that in itself could be triggering, right? Like, I'm sure there's a part of you that is saying, no, it could be so easy to actually internalize that and say, no, I shouldn't be slowing down. I should actually be doing more. And then it's a very vicious loop. But thankfully, by the sounds of it, man, you can see it and you can listen to what your body is telling you, your nervous system. I need to fucking slow down here. I need to give myself a break. I need to recalibrate. So good on you for, you know, doing the inner work and focusing on the things that will
Yeah.
help you get back to the base.
Sometimes you just need to slow down to speed up because, like, I get up early in the morning, I'm knocking things out, and I was thinking, I'm getting up still, I'm waking up because I'm a light sleeper. I'm waking up and I'm going to do the stuff, and I'm like, I'm not enjoying it at the moment. It feels like forced. So like I'm getting up doing this thing, but I'm not enjoying it. It feels forced. I don't feel as creative, and I'm like, actually, I need to slow down. And then when I do get back to that point, then it's going to flow. I'm going to achieve more stuff. I'm going to enjoy it. It's not about just walking through life and fucking battling every day, because you can kind of become trapped in, I do these things. I get up early. This is what I do. And that's
Yeah.
not you. That's just some actions where you carry out your life, and you've got to really take stock of that. And that's why it's about mental fitness. Every single day, it's like a strategy on your well-being. And like that's why today I was like, I'm not feeling good. What do I need to do? Right? I'm going to practice stillness. My mind's running a million miles an hour. And that's what it is. When people think about burnout, because this is going, and you can't think of all this stuff. Sometimes you just need to be still, reflect, calm. You'll get some answers when it's running like this, and you're trying to come up with creativity. It's very, very hard
Yeah.
sometimes, or to find the solution in the pain. So sometimes you just need stillness, relax, come back to yourself, and then you ping, got it. And then you can move through. And by that stillness, you've refreshed yourself and you can allow yourself to kind of move forward.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's fitting that on World Mental Health Day that you've actually taken the opportunity to step back and realize, oh, I'm not really, I'm not feeling the best, or I'm not at the races. I'm going to allow myself a bit of a breather today. I'm going to, simplify things and just take a step back. So that's, I'm kind of thinking like if there was somebody else that's kind of going through this is the funny thing. If it was somebody else, you'd be able to show them so much compassion and support. But then when it comes to ourselves, it's a bit harder. But through that lens, man, what might you say to anyone that is kind of struggling through something similar?
Well, like, if you're struggling through something similar, that's the key thing. If your mind's running a million miles an hour and you kind of beat yourself up, the first thing I go to, it kind of feels counterproductive or counterintuitive when you're going through stuff. You've got all these tasks to do, but people tend to then just keep running because they go, I've got all this stuff to do. And that leads to, I believe, to burnout. Sometimes the thing to do is actually go, I need silence. I need to pull away because this is going to burn the shit out of me. I'm going to become ineffective. I need to pull back. I need silence. I need to kind of morning. I need to kind of practice that stillness and see what comes through. Give this. I say it's like swiping the iPhone. Get rid of the apps in the background. Get rid of them. Kind of clear yourself up, and then you can come back reinvigorated. It's not to say that, because as we say as men, like you said earlier on, we're chasing things. We want to achieve this, and be successful. We don't want to lose that passion and drive.
Yeah.
But it's not just about that. And what I've found is, over time, if you put fulfillment or happiness in achieving the things, it just evaporates in front of your hands. You kind of go, I'm going to run to do this thing. You fucking look at it and you go, right, where's the next thing? And then this other hill comes in front of you. And what's with you all of that time? You're here in amongst all of that stuff. And you only get to understand yourself in stillness, but it can be so counterintuitive for a driven human being. But that's the only thing that's going to bring you joy, because if you're very successful and you're driven, you're never going to stop.
Yeah.
That's throughout your life. If that's what you want to do, you want to achieve success, you're going to be like this, but it's never going to stop. So that means that you're never going to be fulfilled, because you're going to hit the thing, get a couple of seconds of a win and go on to the next. So the only way you're going to have fulfillment, peace, is to come to center. And I think that's where silence, breath work, meditation, ice bath, sauna, all of those things, they're there for us and they're always there. And I think people forget, it's like, why do you find the most peaceful people are either spiritual, religious, stuff like that? Because they've got faith. They adopt these practices of internal work.
Yeah.
And, we go, I remember when I was younger, I go, look at those knobheads. They're woo-woo. But I'd have a side eye going, but they look pretty fucking happy. You know what I mean? Whereas I'm fucking running around, I'm fighting, that person's an arsehole. But it's like, it's hidden in plain sight. The true fulfillment is right there. People do it. And we forget, I think it comes within silence, or I know it comes within silence, because I woke up like shit. I've practiced my meditation, my breath work. I've been in the sauna. I've done the gym. I cleared my decks, and I'm starting to feel a lot better. From this morning. So that it's like a human KPI. It's like a human strategy. So within the Good Men Helping Good Men framework, the beauty of the app that we have kind of give you that snapshot where you go, oh fuck, I'm feeling off, and it might be because I'm lowering my social connections. But whatever it is that you're feeling off about, the first thing I would say to anybody to ask a question is, go to yourself, go to silence, go to meditation, go to breathwork, do something which is going to connect you to your internal self, and that will kind of usually get you back on track.
Yeah, because it's always going to be there, isn't it? Like you're just constantly, if it's not that thing, it's another thing, and like the mind is just constantly running, chasing, striving. So yeah, man, like, yeah, I was telling you about like being home and taking the opportunity to be fully present while being at home, and while you were talking about like, giving yourself the chance to reset. That's what was kind of coming true for me. Like, I think as well, like just other things as well as like nature and getting out for swims and walks. For myself personally, I find that really helps me, But
Yeah, I think it's basically everything's about having a circuit breaker. And I look at things in terms of, especially with all this AI stuff that's going on. If you can just look at it in terminology of, we are coded. People talk about the matrix and stuff. And as children, we are coded. We are coded by our parents. Do this, don't do that. That's good, that's bad. Something they've interpreted, something from their experiences, and they just sit there and program the shit out of us. And then our surroundings, our peers, our work, our government, our society. And those things aren't necessarily us, but we've been programmed in a certain way that's then our reality. And if we've been programmed the wrong way, and we haven't been programmed in a way, where we've had a coach, a mentor, or a parent who's really kind of dialed in to trying to be like that elder who
Yeah.
explain hey, when there's anger might mean that a boundary's being crossed, and this emotion means you may need to take some action, because anger is a perfectly normal human emotion, and it's leading you to say that something's maybe not right and you need to take an action to do that. Now, if you haven't been coded like that, you're just going to be like fucking angry. You're going to poison yourself. Usually you're going to poison all those around you, and it's just a catalogue for disaster. So that's why I think, and that's why a lot of this stuff's coming out, because a lot of men haven't, I certainly didn't have a mentor. I certainly didn't have somebody explaining these things to me younger. I can see that my dad was programmed a certain way. I think I've told you before, his mum, my nan, walked out on him when he was 9 years of age. He had massive abandonment issues. He went into a relationship with my mum, and he kind of looked for what he lost. So he got that bit of a mother figure. He kind of surrendered in the home to be mothered. And then that actually created an imbalance, because he's actually, we all have feminine and masculine energies, but he did have that masculine energy. So she stepped into a masculine a lot, and it created this toxic environment sometimes. Not, deep love there, but they didn't understand this stuff. So I'm witnessing all of the wrong stuff. And, I'm being coded, but I think I've always had, I think people have a consciousness level 1 to 5. I think I've always been in high on consciousness. So I'm witnessing, and I'm learning in the wrong way through the traumas of stuff. But I think a lot of men now, they haven't had they might be in a lower consciousness, or they haven't had the experiences, and they need this language getting pumped out at them, because by repetition, the code will start seeping through. And I think humanity seems to be waking up. There's a lot more people talking about these things, but a lot of men, as you said, going back to what you said at the beginning, are just in this get stuff done. If I'm not achieving, I'm looking around on social media, all these people are doing these things. They look fucking great.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's bullshit, because we're all suffering. We're all perfectly imperfect. Every single day, I'll do something that I fucked up with, but I'm aware I'll try and get better. I've just said at the very beginning of this, I woke up and I feel like I'm having a shit day. Of all days on World Mental Health Day, I've just launched the app. I should be feeling fantastic. And I have to look and go, fuck, it's because of X, Y, Z. Now, everybody needs to understand we are all doing this every day. This is what this does. It's designed to keep us safe, not to keep us happy. Yeah. And that's why we need to develop a strategy to be able to then kind of combat what this is trying to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Just we're in Australia, the Shadow Gentleman.
Yeah, we're in Australia. I don't know what time it is in the UK, but I am an early riser, but Jack's not as early as me.
No, I agree with everything you're saying, man. Like, for me, my version of that was, my version of that was from childhood, being told that I would take over the family business, and then what did I end up? Where did I end up living and spending most of my life? In the family business, performing who I thought I was supposed to be, and never really feeling like I could be myself. So, and that wasn't mine. That didn't belong to me. That was basically, from a very young age, I was being told that by my peers. I didn't have the opportunity to even ask it. So, and then on the flip side of that as well, man, is the fear of not knowing any other way, right? So for the man who, basically what we're saying, man, is productivity equals self-worth. If I'm productive, then I'll feel good. If I'm not productive, then I feel like shit. That's it in a very simple equation. But yeah, man, fuck, and again, the two of those things, they're both programs, right? They're both things that we have internalized from our environment or society or conditioning. So, yeah, man, I mean, it's
so
ongoing.
That's the point. You're helping men, but you're struggling. I'm helping men, I'm struggling. Everybody, and again, the Shadow Gentleman, the performer mask, 100%. Every one of us is wearing a mask. Now, that's where vulnerability and the essence of good men helping good men, we say vulnerability is a superpower. Drop the mask, like me and you shared, and we've had some struggles. I woke up, felt like shit today. what that then does, I then see you real, you see me real, then we can connect on a deeper level. Okay, now we're into it. Now we can really help each other because we're all fucking struggling. That's what human experience is. This program designed to keep us safe. It wakes up, where's pain, where's problems, and we have to implement a strategy to tackle that. And again, what did I do this morning? I implemented the Good Men Helping Good Men strategy. I had a look at where I was suffering. I hadn't been doing my internal work. I'd been
Yeah.
going straight to work and life flow. I'd still kept up my health and fitness, or I dropped off my social connections as well. I hadn't played volleyball in a couple of weeks. So what did I do? I'm talking to you now. I enjoy
Yeah.
doing this. You're a friend of mine. It improves my social connections. I did the internal work today. I spoke up. I said to my missus, straight away, let's get to meditation. Usually you'll see me in the sauna because we see each other in the gym. I'll do
Yeah.
meditation in the sauna. But that was giving me the excuse to get up and get straight to work. That's not good for me. It's not good for my nervous system. I need, like, if I'm constantly operating in that, I wake up, fucking get after it, go to sleep, and before bed I'm looking on me thing again. There's no chance for the nervous system to relax. Hence why my sleep's been suffering. So I was
Yeah.
like, I need to get to this. So I looked at my own 5 pillars of fulfillment. I could see clearly what I wasn't doing, and I implemented the strategy. And that's it. What most people don't understand. I said it at the beginning. I'll say it again. We have a bespoke set of things as human beings that keep us fulfilled, and the feelings, whether it's the tiredness thing, they're all signs to keep us back to our center. What really is our true calling? What's our true purpose? What keeps us happy, fulfilled? All of these signs, we've got to keep an angle on and implement our own kind of human strategy to keep us fulfilled.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree, man. Mental health aside, what else is going on in the world of Mr. Williams?
Oh, well, mate, as you know, the app's just launched. That's really exciting. But again, what it made me realise is, achieved the launch. I didn't celebrate the win. I was looking straight into the corporate space. Now I can do stuff into there. And what that did is that, it was a real reminder to me that the success equals fulfillment equation isn't the way to go about it, because it evaporates in front of you. So that was a big realization for me. I was like, okay, so I've been going through that realization again in front of me. It's evidence of what's going on. But other than that, a couple of realizations throughout this period as well. Last 2 weeks, I haven't maybe given my missus the patience within the relationship. I took a lot of calls late, and I can see that affecting her. See you later, the shadow gentleman. Have a great day, mate.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining. Yeah, I realized I wasn't given that, time or given that love, and then I'm going to get a mirror, so I'm going to get that back, and I'm just conscious of that as well. So I'm reflecting on, in the past when I used to just work in corporate, I just run a million miles an hour. This is the way it is. This is how I have to operate. And relationships would dissolve around me because I wouldn't give it the time of day. Whereas now I'm like, hang on a minute, I've done these loops. I never climbed the mountain. I need to make sure that how am I, what's my energy like? Because you can finish the day, someone can ask you a question, how's your day? Oh, terrible. I've had this and I've had that and that's that energy for someone who's just maybe come out of their work day. That's not a nice energy to be greeted with. You know what I mean? So I'm conscious of that, and I'm trying to work on that as well, because in any relationship, it takes kind of, you've got to complement each other, and your energy is, I've got a really kind of powerful energy when I'm up, when I'm down, you know me. So I've got to be conscious of that. And over the last 2 weeks, with all of the stuff that's been going on, it's really made me reflect, how am I affecting those around me?
Yeah, but I think, man, like the thing that I admire about you very much so as an individual is that, like, you take responsibility, like you sharing everything that you just said there, like you take responsibility for it. You reflect on it, and you're not dwelling on it. You're just bringing your attention to it, so you can therefore show up more present in a more present way, or a more loving way, which that deserves credit too. Just to say that.
Well, like, I appreciate that, but the key thing for me is, like, relationships, who you're in a relationship with, and the love that you give and the love you get back is essential to how you, if you are in a relationship and you want to be in a relationship, it's so essential to your happiness, to your fulfillment. Because without that, if you're in a relationship and it feels like a prison, you're never going to have peace, because it's going to follow you. It's going to follow you around the 5 pillars. You're going to go to work, you'll be thinking about that argument. You're like, oh, you know, you come home, you don't relax. You might not go to the gym because you're pissed off. So you start feeling more unhealthy. It affects you there. You're angry, so you don't feel like sitting down and doing the meditation, because it is counterintuitive. The times when you need it, it feels like a harder barrier. So usually, what can happen is, if you're in your relationship pillar, if that's fucked up and you're not putting the effort into it and you're not being accountable, because we are mirrors, then usually it affects the whole rest of all the other pillars in your life, and you'll suffer. So that's why the love and relationships pillar is such a strong one. And those 2 questions of, do you understand your non-negotiable values within a relationship? And the second one is, have you had that discussion with a partner? Those 2 questions alone can completely transform your life. Because if you understand what means to you, have you communicated it? Most men don't. So therefore, if you understand what means something in a relationship to you, it's so important that you communicate that with your partner. How that, because what a lot of people do is they kind of have these perceptions of how they want the relationship to be. They don't communicate it to the missus. And then if the relationship isn't going that way, resentment builds from those unmet expectations. And you can pop out of a relationship and you've never even given the person the opportunity, because you haven't communicated properly.
Yeah.
And then we get into communication, which is absolutely key. It's how you communicate, when you communicate. Do you understand your partner? There's no point in having a communication in an emotional state about something that's really important. It's probably doing that when things are de-escalated. It's understanding your partner, doing it with love and empathy. And as I always say, the key thing is keep those sleeping giants of the ego asleep. So find a way to connect to your missus with love, with empathy, and don't want to win a discussion, want to kind of come to a resolution for the best of the relationship.
What I find with that, man, actually, which is really very valid and very insightful, but like what I find that some men, the mistake that they make is that to communicate those things requires you to be vulnerable, right? Because you feel exposed to say, this is what I need or this is what I want. But a lot of men confuse that for neediness, right?
Sorry, call coming through, go
on. No, I was just saying a lot of men confuse that as being needy, but like so what I'm saying is that like to communicate what you want in a relationship, there's a vulnerability in that, right? So, but a lot of men might interpret that as, oh, this is kind of unmanly, or this is more feminine, or this is me being needy. But if you don't communicate it, man, like you said, how are they ever supposed to know what it is that you need or what it is that you want? So what would you say to the man that might find himself in that? And as well, obviously, there's other, like, culture plays a part, right? Or stereotypical roles.
Yeah, and I think I coach, a guy coached from a cultural perspective. It wasn't the norm to do that. And whichever way it is, culturally, how you've been programmed when you're younger by whoever, yes, it feels hard, and people will say, oh, that's not me, usually because it's the hard thing to do. But the hard thing is usually the thing that gives you the simpler life. And what I would say to men is, it's fucking courageous. That's where you get a big set of cojones to speak your truth, because a lot of people people please. A lot of people don't step into their truth, and they wear that mask. They wear that mask at the beginning of a relationship to appease whoever that is to get into a relationship. Well, that's no good, because you'll find yourself 6 months in, both of you've got a mask on. This relationship is based on a load of fluff, and then you haven't got deep with each other. And it's so important, because what I used to do, and I've done this a million times, as I say, perfectly imperfect. I'm 48 years of age. I only did it right at 46 with my current missus, beautiful Katya, who you know very well. But before that, I wasn't setting my boundaries early. I wasn't explaining, hey, this is me. This is what means something to me. These are boundaries that I won't, can't cross. Equally, what are yours? And how can we bring each other closer together and use this conversation as a base camp that we can go back to in difficult times? Now, those discussions, aren't for the weak. You know what I mean? Because when you go into that discussion, if you've got a real boundary, you might have to hold it, and that might mean potentially going out of a relationship. And I go back to the example that I would use at the start of my relationship, where I kind of said, I'm starting to get feelings here. I can feel a love coming through. I've noticed a few things that maybe don't work for me. This is me, so you can understand what I'm about, and I just want to kind of share and see where we are to make sure that it's worth us taking this to this next step.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that conversation didn't flow really well, which it did beautifully, then I had to be prepared to make that step now. Be prepared to make that step now, or go through a year of shit and make the step in amongst all of the toxicity which usually comes when there is a big imbalance in a relationship. If one likes to Netflix and chill at the weekend, which is fantastic, but one likes to go hiking in the hills. Because if those two things, just as a really rough example, if that means one thing, if I like to Netflix and chill and that's my downtime, I fucking love it. It means something to me. But my partner likes to go climbing the hills, and that means something to it, and we both don't do that, then we're both going to be pissed off. That's integral to our fulfillment. And
you're showing your age here, by the way. Just so you know. Netflix and chill to the younger generation means something to what I think you're making it out to be.
Okay. I think it means the same to me, man.
Yeah, geez, I'm like, geez, he's like a fucking rabbit.
No, but like, I think to the people who don't do it because they think it's not, it's more of a feminine thing to do. No, having a conversation, speaking your truth. What's more fucking courageous than that? You've got to be really strong to have that conversation. Do it with love, empathy, but with strength, and be prepared to hold your boundaries. I think that's the real masculine thing to do, because you're speaking your truth.
I think for me, man, as well, the big thing, like what's coming through here is like discernment, right? You like to be able to discern, like not necessarily with a conversation with a romantic partner, but a friend who's acting the prick, who's kind of saying bad things or treating you poorly, right? You need to be able to discern between, like, is it worth me going to this guy and saying, look, when you say these things, it kind of makes me feel like shit. If that guy, like, if he's, I don't know, I know that you're conscious of narcissistic terminology, but let's just say he's a bad dude, man, and he's not worth fucking spending time with, right? Is it worth being able to discern between, do you know what, I'm best off to fucking cut this guy out of my life, versus, oh no, this is actually, I need to be able to speak my truth to somebody who I do value and I do care about, but it's a difficult thing for me to say because maybe they don't see it the same way as me. But I think to be able to discern between the two of those is very important, but also some people just don't address that, and they just leave it kind of be, and it remains unresolved, and then you've resentment, and you're not even aware that you're carrying it there with you. Like, sometimes I think, you either, but again, the importance of being discerning in those conversations with who you're vulnerable with, you know what I mean? So I think that's a really big one, man. I see a lot of men in particular, like, not practicing or not showing awareness around that as a tool or as a capability for, quote unquote, reading the room.
Well, look, what you've just described is like energy vampires versus energy boosters as a friend. It could be in any relationship, but you talk about your friends. You've got to be conscious, right? Is this person draining me? Why are they draining me? A boundary might have been crossed, right? And as you, like, a lot of people just accept that it's been mates, blah, blah, blah. But that's not good to be surrounded by that. It keeps your energy low. It sucks the life out of you. And, if you're trying to really grow, as I always say, as you start growing, you'll start getting maybe a little bit more lonely because you kind of break through one friendship group and you're ready for this next evolution. And when you go through that loneliness phase, the first thing I'll say is, congratulations, you might be on that growth journey if you're feeling that. Now we need to implement a strategy to draw in that next wave of human beings who are maybe on your level now. But when you talk about holding boundaries with friends, I've for years, and I know you probably would have done as well, I've emotionally overextended, and I love that word, I kind of robbed that from you. I've emotionally overextended with friends in my life because I've constantly tried to prove myself and explain to them why I do what I do and why don't you see me, and and I'm trying to explain something, and they're not actually capable of understanding my language. You know, I talk about levels of consciousness, 1 to 5. It just feels like that in humanity. Some people are more just, walk around happy as Larry, but, but there's real conscious people who have emotional intelligence, can have great foresight, can read through patterns of what people see and all this, that read energies. And I like to think I'm higher on that. And some people just can't understand your language. So it's
Yes.
not worth overextending because it's just going to zap you. So
Hmm.
you either have to keep certain people there as an acquaintance or a friend, that's fine. But those deeper relationships, sometimes you have to cut them. You kind of think, hang on a minute, this is really toxic. There's a totally different view here. So that's when, again, you step into the courageous element of being a man, speaking your truth, and being prepared to hold the line, hold your boundary.
Yeah, like I mean, what was coming to mind there for me is like the people pleaser, the person who that's their worst nightmare, to assert themselves. So I think like for anyone that's in that context, like it's to be able give yourself the permission. Like for me, man, like I'm starting to realize like quality is more important than quantity. I'd prefer to have a handful of good guys in my life who I can be myself around, I can rely on, who I can speak openly and honestly with, and people who will hold me responsible and accountable and lift me up, than to be surrounded with guys who that's an insight I'm sharing with me, man. I have been pulling back from dynamics and relationships that don't support my higher good. And I did find myself questioning, does this make me a bad person now? Because Jesus, I could I find myself very lonely, but I didn't realize actually that's just a trick of the mind. But it takes so much. It takes self trust, man, and it takes self respect to want that, to want more for yourself. That's what it has been for me anyway. Now
Yeah.
you're older than me. You're further ahead in the journey, and that's why I really value your friendship, because you're a role model. You're someone I can turn to who can guide me, and there's so much value in that.
But
So
like what you just said from you, equally, I get a good energy from you. So when we exchange, we have deep conversations. It's great. It feels good to me. And as you said before, as you grow, you usually kind of start cutting some kind of, not from a hateful place. Just this energy doesn't feel good. And I always say to people, just check your energy. When you come away from stuff, you feel depleted. Unfortunately, you need to limit that. You either need to hold boundaries and make sure that the conversation stays in a place that does energize you, or you need to cut with love and actually evolve with the people that are meant for you. Because as you do that, you'll just drift in life toward you. And all of a sudden, you'll find yourself surrounded by the right people, doing the right things, and enjoying life so much more. Because it's like when you're in a bad culture in a company. People talk about company culture. You walk into a shit job, and the boss is an asshole. You're like, oh, I can't be asked going to work today. This feels like shit. That's the energy from the people around you.
yeah.
It's exactly the same. So if you talk about a company culture, it's a friendship culture. If you've got the wrong friends around you, now what do? People leave toxic cultures. So it's the same with it
Mm.
within a friendship. And what you should do is, as you kind of grow, as you're cutting them, you only move in, and that's what tends to happen in the growth journey. You'll take your time and you'll find the right people. You're not going to step into that toxic relationship. You understand your boundaries, you hold them, and eventually you'll get what your little niche is. And I'm happy with the smaller circle as I get older. I don't
Mm.
need frivolous shit conversations. It used to feel sometimes that, I remember in a previous relationship, I'd go out and sometimes I'd be surrounded by a lot of people, but it felt like I was in a business networking event. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It was all this surface level crap, and I'm like, oh, I come away drained. Whereas now I can have a couple of conversations and I come away energized, and I'm like, this means more to me than just being surrounded by people.
Mm. I mean, I love you, man, and I appreciate you, but like, you don't have to follow me to the gym and to the sauna, and like, like, fuck's sake, I'm getting you back for the podcast, man, you bastard.
All right, mate. Well, look, I think it was important just to let people. I think that the main point of this is just to tell people that you and I are effectively trying to help men out there today, people out there today, but we struggle every single day. Everybody struggles.
Hmm.
This is a program. It's a program to find the problem, and what you have to do is define your own human strategy of mental fitness to keep this in check. Effectively, overarching, that's what it is. As human beings, we have to have a strategy for our mental fitness. If we don't have a strategy for our mental fitness, usually it will over time it'll chip away at you, and that's why we have the 5 pillars of fulfillment. That's why if you download our app, it will quickly, within 20 questions, it will give you the view of where you are, and it will help you with your own mental fitness. Because if we are not checking up on ourselves every day, just like you would a business, or your children, most
Hmm.
people forget about themselves, and repetitively forgetting about yourself, especially in troubling times, that's what leads to a mental health crisis. That's what can lead to ultimately suicidality. And on a day like today, let's reflect on ourselves and give ourselves the best opportunity to be fulfilled.
Yeah, and I think as well, man, just to say that it's also okay not to be okay, you know. So yeah,
I would say it's okay not to be okay, because I woke up today feeling like shit. I was like, shit, I feel like shit. Yesterday, I felt like shit too. It was all this too much work, forgetting about myself, lost a bit of my routine. And yesterday, I was feeling overwhelmed. I was in accountants, so I was doing this, that, and the other. And I had lots of other stuff to do. And I went, fuck it all off. I need a couple of hours of nothing. I got on the sofa, I got the dog, I cuddled up to the dog, the big ball of love. I stuck something on the telly, and I went, I'm getting rid of everything. And I was
yeah,
like, and then I woke up after half an hour cuddling the dog, and I was like, oh, this is nice. So I needed that right then. I
yeah,
needed that right then. And then today, what did I do? So it's okay to be, not okay. And I accepted that yesterday. But today, what did I do? I implemented the human KPI strategy. I implemented my mental fitness strategy,
yeah,
which I'm here now, X amount of hours later, I feel so much better. I woke up this morning, the first thing I said to Mrs., I'm not feeling good. And I caught myself say that, and I was like, that is a prime example. Now I need to implement my mental fitness strategy. My mental fitness strategy is meditate, gym, this, that. You have to, because I'm a driven fucker, and I do what I can within the workspace. But if I don't apply the same strategy to my own mental fitness and physical fitness, this is only going to last so long. This will
mm,
only last so long before I'll get burnt out. I'll go off the edge of cliff, and then I might not achieve all of the things I want to achieve. I might not be able to help the amount of people I want to help. And why is that? Because I was just focusing on one pillar. We are not one pillar. We are whole, and we have to have balance in our life. And yeah, I think for
I've,
me,
I've
that's what I've meant.
I've a really kind of random one, but I find it really helpful, man, and it might be of benefit to you as well. But something that has helped me, you can't connect the dots looking forward, right? You can only connect them looking back. But a little practice that I've been using recently is writing like an email to my future self.
Oh wow.
And basically, I feel like today could be a good day or tomorrow for you to actually capture where you're at. What is it you're focusing on? What is it that you're, or maybe don't focus on that because that could trigger anxiety. I don't know. But I just find, man, like like the last year or so, like I was really in a shit season of life. It was not a fun time. And who I am today versus who I was like a year ago, like how I feel is it's day and night, man. But I would have loved to have actually wrote that to myself and read it today and see like because the thing is, man, is that like even in that headspace that I found myself in, I was still actually doing a lot, and I wasn't giving myself credit for any of it. And I achieved some of the things that I didn't think were possible for me to achieve. So yeah, I just thought it might be a good little practice, a good little exercise for you to reflect to, and there's something really nice as well about just releasing it, man. You're setting intentions. You're not. It doesn't really matter what becomes of this or what doesn't become of it. You're just letting it out and releasing it. But anyway, that just came to mind. I
Yeah,
thought,
well, And I think we'll leave it. We'll leave it here because I'll close it on gratitude. What you've just discussed is send an email to yourself, which is going to allow you to sit in gratitude. And that's something that I sometimes don't do as much. But when I strategically do gratitude, where not only am I writing it, but I'm trying to feel it, you know? And when you feel gratitude, it's the highest emotion. Nothing else can live there. Depression, anxiety, sadness, it can't live there because it consumes you if you do it properly. And what I did, I love living in Australia. The day I landed in Australia when I was going to live here, I felt like Jason Bourne. I rocked up by myself. I was doing this fucking thing. I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. I wanted to be here. The sense of unbelievable, overwhelming feelings of joy, I will never forget. I was like, I fucking done it. Now, I can remember that feeling. So if I'm going through real shit times, just like I could have done that yesterday, but I forgot, but I can. And when I do, because it was such a potent feeling, it consumes me. And I go, oh, and it literally gets rid of the shit. Now, that's the importance of gratitude. Find your way for gratitude. And in your darkest times, that feeling of gratitude, the lower feelings can't survive in there. You know what I mean? It's like looking through a letterbox of pure fucking joy. Like the other things can't get there. They can't reach their sadness, depression, anxiety, if you strategically do it. And that's why mental fitness is a strategy, like business, like anything. And you don't just become happy, and you're not going to become happy by achieving things. It's not how it works. And again, true fulfillment is effectively peace. The only way you find peace more regularly, unless you're fucking Buddha, is strategy. Strategy followed by actions. And that's obviously what we're trying to achieve. So I think we'll leave that there.
On fire, man.
All right. Well, look, it's World Mental Health Day. Thank you for everybody who joined. Con White, Massimo was there. Thank you
Thanks,
for
Hazel.
joining, and everybody else who popped in today. It was our first one. We will do more. I just thought it's World Mental Health Day. If you're struggling out there, we're all fucking struggling. The key is give yourself a breather, but we do have simple things that we can do to make us more fulfilled. So practice gratitude today, meditate, get in stillness. Think of yourself today. You don't have to achieve everything today. Remember that the hill always gets higher. You will never climb the mountain. And today of all days, give yourself a breather.
Peace out. Boom.
Cheers, guys.